Michael here, continuing the episode 20 from the Blind Piper Reacts series. This singer I'm going to react to is somebody named Abby Bailey. I have no idea if she's related to Madeline Bailey. You'd think she would be because she has a pretty good hot vibrato. Not as hot as Madeline's, but nevertheless, she's actually still pretty good. I think she's actually British, and she does a lot of the songs that you'd hear at dance parties, like really techno-y dance stuff. So kind of like you know how you've heard people beatbox, like like that? Something like that. Like, that's the kind of music that Abby Bailey likes to do. And it's kind of a funny story. So I think you guys are aware of the collection I have of really good, amazing female singing voices. It's kind of like it's like a vocal pageant. Like instead of who looks the hottest, who has the hottest singing voice, you know? Well, it's weird because my very first pet was a relatively old cocker-spaniel named Abby. She was my mom's, and we had to put her down, put her to sleep at the very, very end of 2004, so like between Christmas and New Year of 2005. And I don't know why, but there's nothing like losing a first pet. And I really liked how soft she was. And being blind, obviously, our other senses are kind of heightened. So dogs also give off a unique kind of smell that's kind of specific to dogs. So it's, how soft she was, her kind of smell she gave off. And that just stuck with me. Even years after we had to, I don't want to say kill, but that did kill her. And I've been, ever since we were without a pet, I keep having dreams about really amazing singing voices, girls with really amazing vibratos that happen to be named Abby. And I started the collection itself in 2014, in the summer of 2014, when I met my Nigerian ex, Deborah, because, I've been interested in these voices since 2010, but I never really thought to start the actual collection because I was afraid, my parents would see it and they're like, what are you doing collecting, what the hell is this sexy folder collection, like sexy voices collection, what the hell is that? And so I wanted to keep it a secret, but once I met Deborah, I figured, I really have to start saving these, and I'm glad I saved them, because some of these YouTubes that I got the voices from are kicked off. For example, Hannah Lee, one of the greatest modern young coloratura sopranos out there. Her clips got kicked off, so I'm glad I saved Hannah in the collection. Anyway, my sophomore year of college was when I had that dream about one of those dreams about that really interesting, girl with a hot vibrato named Abby. And so that made me think, I should see if I can find some girls named Abby with that particularly hot vibrato. An Abby with a wobble, that will not qualify for my collection. And so it turns out I found, ever since 2015, November of 2015, all the way up until now, I found I'd like to say about 50 to 60 girls named Abby of various spellings, a Y at the end, or an EY at the end, or in one or two cases, an IE at the end, with hot vibratos. And that's where it all started, where I have so many artists with that name. I swear, if we had a pet with a different name, I would have looked for singers with a different name. And it's funny because the next most popular name in my collection happens to be Sarah, as in Sarah Brightman, Sarah McLaughlin, quite a few other Sarahs. And I actually know a local Braille teacher who I think had a dog named Sarah, so that's kind of a funny thing. So anyway, I'd like to react to an Abby Bailey song, now that I've got the whole Abby kind of story behind the Abby singers out of the way. You guys are gonna think, oh, that is the weirdest thing in the world, but I guess that's what happens. When you know. So I'll see if I can find the right song here. Just a minute. Okay, here we go. So this song is actually called Overdrive, and it may be a little bit hard to hear her first notes, that loops, but this has a really hot vibrato. It's looping the word I on a, what note is it? B3. Oh my gosh, that is hot. You've got a hot vibrato on that note, Abby. And that also reminds me, there are quite a few opera singers in my collection with that name. There's Abby Fisher, Abby Linnig, and Abby Hutchins. I might do a song by one of those for episode 20.4. And you can see how Abby Bailey is doing this kind of techno dance music, right? Very loop-based. And you got this nice bassy sound. Ooh, that note is hot. I'm pretty sure if a dance, like a dance party had a vocal pageant, Abby Bailey would win this vocal pageant. Ooh, that's a hot vibrato there. Ooh. Ooh. You got that nice volume variation, like almost like Denise and Madeline Bailey a little bit. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Now I'm trying my best not to be too inappropriate here. So I feel regretful to describe, kind of what I feel when I'm hearing her. But I'm pretty sure that because most sighted guys know it, I think they'll know what I'm talking about, so I'd rather not explain it. I've heard that it does happen to elephants when you give them a Rice Krispie, like a big Rice Krispie thing, because my mom was in Thailand, and she saw that happen to elephants whenever they get excited. That's the only explanation. That's the only way I can describe it without sounding inappropriate, without sounding nude, or I believe nude means like sex related. Oh, good multi-tracking. Overdubbing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Well, she says your system turns me on. Your voice turns me on, Abby. Now I'm trying to prove to you that the reason why I have this kind of vocal pageant collection is to prove to you that a lot of modern singers can have really hot vibratos. A hot vibrato was a common thing back in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, and earlier. And again, it's sadly starting to be dominated by ugly wobble vibratos. And so that's partly why I started collecting these songs. And there you go, that more of the dance party, techno-y kind of stuff. I don't really mind that this is this style. Literally, as long as it has a hot vibrato, I'm okay with literally any style. And if it has swearing in it, I'm okay with that. So it ranges all the way from opera to, in fact, all these singers that I'm reacting to with the hot vibrato are all in my big vocal pageant kind of collection thing. And I hope this doesn't sound too off-putting, but because Haley is learning to develop a really good vibrato and has a really good vibrato in one of her recordings, hate to give it away for you, Haley, but a couple of your songs happen to qualify for my vocal pageant collection. Okay, there's some screaming idiots here. Keep in mind, I want a little fresh air. I like fresh air compared to this stuffy air. And so, and again, you heard about that awful thing that happened 2 days ago, right? If you can hear it over the music, you can hear these idiots screaming, which makes sense why I live with a bunch of idiots. But the only reason why I do live with a bunch of idiots is because these apartments are designed for low-income people, which could also mean, like, uneducated, right? Like, you know, the only job they have, for example, is just making a hamburger at McDonald's, for example, you know? So these people, you kind of would expect them to be, you know, dumb. But anyway, yeah, I just heard that, and I thought I'd mention, like, why you're hearing that, but, and even with this fresh air, it doesn't really affect the heat too much, like, the heat, when the heat's turned on. Because it's only one tiny little window with a hand's width crack. But it is definitely not soundproof. So yeah, so that Abby Bailey song is over now. So, yeah, that's basically Abby Bailey. And, the next, part of this big episode will be probably Abby Rickards, because we haven't done any jazz yet. So join me next for Abby Rickards, episode 20.4.